God has a purpose for you, and God has a purpose for Willowbrook. The fact that you're here today means God has aligned those purposes so we can make a greater impact together. The journey for Willowbrook started in 1966 when a group of families decided to start a new church in the rapidly developing area of southeast Huntsville. It is one that will continue for generations to come and is a journey that we are part of today and one that continues to expand.
For over 4,000 years, God has been showing the way that He works with His children. So many stories in the Bible mimic this same pattern that's even obvious today. God will choose people to bring glory to Himself. He blesses them through this tension, and then hears the people cry out to Him. Then God will reveal these outside-the-box plans, but He provides the resources for those plans and glorifies Himself by doing a work that humans just can't explain. This is a story we've lived at Willowbrook for the past 10 years. In the years leading up to 2010, God has blessed and brought glory to Himself with unprecedented growth at this church. The lost were being saved, the unconnected were being welcomed, His people were being drawn closer to Him and to each other. This growth brought about this tension that I just referred to in regards to space, both inside and outside, as parking began to shrink. With no immediate options for growth at the Bailey Cove campus, God revealed a plan in response to our prayers. Pastor Mark and the staff began to investigate extending our video venues to other locations. A large number of people, including my family, were driving from Madison every Sunday to worship here at the Bailey Cove campus. Pastor Mark was saying during a friendly golf game with one of the church members, it was revealed to him that there might be the possibility of a lumberyard being available for worship every Sunday. This is yet another one of God's provisions for us. And Easter 2010, the Madison campus was open. What God has done in the last 5 years is unexplainable with human logic. In the midst of less than optimal circumstances, God has brought together a body of believers from all walks of life, colors of skin, and spiritual backgrounds, who now number over 4 times the number of our initial launch team. Again, this growth brought about tension as we began to run out of room, but God miraculously intervened. With no financially viable relocation options, a man walked into Bailey Cove and talked to the leadership team about a land deal that was less than 1 mile from our current building. A deal that seemed too good to be true. After prayer and research by many talented church members, all experts in their field, a proposal was brought before the church to purchase 46 acres for less than 20% of its market value. The deal that was too good to be true once again proved that God can do more than what we ask and can even imagine. The Willowbrook at Madison story is far from finished, and the works that God has in store for us at this new campus excite us. But it also reminds us that we must continue to rely on Him, not our own understanding.
And the journey does continue. To better understand the plans we have for Willowbrook's Madison campus, let's listen to the chairman of our building committee.
Hi, I'm Bob Fredrickson. Willowbrook has a church building committee that's focused on overseeing the building of the church on Jeff Road. The committee consists of 8 church members, and I'm one of them, and I have the privilege of being the chairman of the committee. I want to share with you a few tidbits of what we're doing so you have a deeper understanding of how hard we're working and how we're trying to get done what needs to get done. We know this is God's project, and we're spending God's money. And every dollar we get is a blessing, and we're working hard to stretch every dollar as far as possible. Well, how are we doing that? First, we're starting with a simple, functional, and economic church facility design. And then we're taking that and applying value engineering principles to make sure we're building that simple, economical, functional facility in the best way possible. Now, one of the outcomes of the value engineering process has been the exterior walls. We're going to be using tilt-up concrete construction for the exterior walls and some interior because, first of all, it saves time, and less time on-site building is saving money. It also, you can use an inexpensive exterior coating instead of something more expensive. And also the thermal properties of concrete allow us to use a smaller heating and air cooling system, less tonnage, so we're going to save money on first cost and long-term operating cost and hopefully maintenance. What we're also doing is, with a competitive bidding process, make sure that every subcontractor, every trade that's involved is competitively bid with at least 4, 5, 6, 7 or more subcontractors, all qualified, that they can do the work and do it well, because at the end of the day, we want the facility to be a quality facility because we don't want any long-term maintenance and operating problems, but we want to make sure that we stretch every dollar that God bless us with as far as we can. So the committee and everybody involved is working hard to build the best facility we can at the lowest possible cost that meets the functional and simple needs of what we're trying to accomplish over on Jeff Road. Now, I also want to touch on one thing that has been possibly an area of misunderstanding. And I didn't understand it until I got involved in the project. The lake. Someday there may be fish in the lake, but right now it's our first line of control for water and soil runoff. We have permits that we had to apply for at the state level, basically saying the soil and water runoff on the site, the undeveloped site, is not going to fundamentally change after we develop it. And we need some way to control the water runoff from the parking lot and the soil runoff from the ground that's been developed. And the lake is our first line of control. So the dollars we're going to put in the lake are for that reason. And if someday the lake holds fish, well, that's just kind of icing on the cake, but that's not the reason we're putting dollars in the lake. It's been a privilege being on the committee. All 8 members are working hard, and we thank you for your support.
The theme of our campaign is greater impact, because that is our purpose. We want to make a greater impact in the kingdom of God. It's never about brick and mortar, buildings and land. Those are just tools to help us make a greater impact with the gospel. And that's what's happening in Madison. The Madison campus is making a greater impact. People are coming to Christ in Madison, Monrovia, and the surrounding area who never would make that drive all the way down to our South Huntsville location. So it's greater impact. We want to make a greater impact here, near, and afar. One of the ways we can make a greater impact here is by completely renovating the venue. The first-time guests, when they walk in the venue, are typically shocked when they see the holes in the ceiling, the dirty floors and walls, the temporary stage, and the single screen that's elevated so high. If you sit up too close, you almost feel like you're on the front row of a movie theater looking straight up. That's why we ought to do a renovation. Someone said to me recently, this room looks like it was a gym that someone tried to turn into a sanctuary. Well, that's because it was a gym that we tried to turn into a sanctuary. So what we hope to do is make it look like a sanctuary and not a renovated gym. And by doing this, we can truly make a greater impact. The room would be reoriented, and reorienting the room would increase seating capacity. Not only that, we would, of course, fix the walls and the ceilings and the floor. And we could do a lot with the stage. We can recess the stage. We can have an orchestra pit. We would have a high-definition screen that actually touches the platform. This way, when you're listening to the sermon, it will appear as if the speaker is actually walking on the stage. Plus, we'll have 2 side screens where you can have close-ups. We want you to actually forget that the speaker is not in the room with you. And of course, we will make enhancements to audio, visual, and lighting as well. So that's very exciting. A greater impact here by renovating the venue, a greater impact near by doing the work in Madison, and afar, here, near, and afar. Missions has always been the heartbeat of our church. And that's why I think it's really important that we have a missions component to our building campaign. So while we're building these nice buildings here, I think it's important that we buy land and build buildings for people who never could afford to do that for themselves in places like Haiti, Peru, and Costa Rica.
Hi, my name is Leanne Newsom. I have led over a dozen trips to Haiti in the last couple of years. The poverty in this third world country is overwhelming. What hurts the most is to see the children suffer. There's over 500,000 children who become house slaves because their parents just can't afford to feed them. But as a church, we have the chance to make a difference. Willowbrook, we've made a relationship with the Faith House Orphanage. It's ran by Pierre and Lorphine. Pierre is a pastor who graduated from Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, and Lorphine suffered 8 hard years as a house slave where she was beaten, denied food, and abused. In 2012, they started Faith House, and they have 30 children in their orphanage today and 56 kids in their school. These children have been rescued in love and given a chance for a real future. Right now, they live in a rented facility, but they have an opportunity to purchase 3 acres at a fraction of its cost. Willowbrook can be part of this. If we so choose to be, we can help rescue these children by purchasing the land for Faith House. On this land, they're going to build an orphanage, a school, a pavilion for a community feeding program, which also is a place that we can do church. They'll build a guest house where Willowbrook mission teams can stay. Willowbrook, we can be part of rescuing these kids. We really can make an eternal difference if we so choose to, as we show them that their only hope is in Jesus Christ.
Hi, my name is Joe Fuqua, and I wanted to tell you about a ministry that was birthed here at Willowbrook and started by my son while he was a student in the youth department here. In the heart of the Amazon basin, Iquitos, Peru is the largest city in the world that is accessible only by boat or plane. Isolation in Iquitos has led to severe poverty, not only financial poverty, but moral and spiritual poverty. Families are broken, and addiction and prostitution and abuse and neglect are all too common. Children suffer the most from this brokenness. Boys as young as 3 years old are abandoned and left on the streets to survive. They live in fear. Not Forgotten seeks to remove these children from danger and provide them with a safe home, holistic, family-centered care. In partnership with local Peruvian Christians who share the passion for these children, Not Forgotten has built a place called Las Lomas. The desire for these children is that they grow up to know Christ and empowered to be Christian leaders in their community. At Las Lomas, each family-centered bungalow houses 8 boys and a Christian couple. They are clothed, well-fed, and see firsthand what it means to be a Christian father and husband. They go to school, receive daily tutoring, they meet regularly with psychologists and social workers, and they hear the truth of the Lord every day. Thank you for your support for Las Lomas and Not Forgotten.
My name is Jennifer Morgan, and I want to tell you about a country that I love, Costa Rica. I actually lived in Costa Rica as a child and have been there on a Willowbrook mission trip as well. Willowbrook has sent over 30 mission teams to Costa Rica in the last 7 years. During this time, we have developed a close relationship with Templo Bautista de Atenas, Pastor Jeremy and his wife Yvette. The church currently meets in a building that is not their own, high up on a mountain. The majority of the church lives in the city of Atenas. Since many don't own cars, they take the bus to get up the mountain for church. This presents a huge challenge to reach people, but Willowbrook has an opportunity to purchase land and help them build in the city of Atenas so the people could walk to church. When you come to Costa Rica, you see the influence of Willowbrook all over Templo Bautista de Atenas. Our pastoral staff has mentored Pastor Jeremy. We've sent groups of students, women, and even an intern who live there for the summer. We've led mission conferences, pastors' conferences, and marriage conferences for the church. Now we have the opportunity to do something that will help them reach more people for Christ than ever before. In Spanish, they call themselves ticos and call us gringos, but I just call us family because we are sisters and brothers in Christ.
Now that you've heard a summary of the vision, I hope you're excited. I also hope that it is a vision that sends you to your knees. I want you to pray and specifically ask God to tell you what you should give, how you should be involved. Now remember, we give money so that we can support things that are more important than money. Souls are way more important. We give to impact eternity. So when we give, we're literally populating heaven one soul at a time. We're expanding the kingdom of God. We are making a greater impact here, near, and afar.
So, how excited are you about that vision right there? I'm very excited. And I realize that's the longest video you've probably ever watched in church. I take it back. After 9/11, we may have done one a little bit longer. But I wanted you to get an overview of the vision. And in the coming weeks, you'll hear a whole lot more, and you'll hear it in more detail. Oh, this week, you should receive a newsletter in the mail, and it'll give you even more details. This coming Wednesday at 6 o'clock, we have a vision meeting if you want to attend that. And so you'll learn more about everything that you heard. If I could just say one thing that really excites me is the missions component to what we're doing. Isn't that good? Because it's great that we're going to do some things here and finally, after 5 years, give our fastest growing campus, which is Madison, a building of their own. So all of that is wonderful, but how do we do that and not take care of people who can never take care of themselves? And so when we build an orphanage in Peru, we're literally rescuing these boys off of the streets. In Haiti, when we build an orphanage in Haiti, we're rescuing children out of slavery. Slavery. They have child slavery in Haiti, and these kids, they just do all the labor, and they sleep on the hard floor, and they're denied food, they're beaten. So we are making a difference, or we will, in Haiti, in Costa Rica, in Peru. It's going to be amazing. Oh, and one other thing I want to explain to you before you get your newsletter is that we also, as a part of the Greater Impact Initiative, we are including our World Missions Offering in it. And the reason is because every year we do the World Missions Offering in November, December, every year, and it's wonderful. But here's one thing I've learned in these many years that I've been a pastor. Anytime you have competing offerings, one of them loses. It just does. And one thing that we cannot allow to happen is for our missions offering to suffer because we're doing the Greater Impact campaign. So what we're doing is we're just putting it in the campaign. What we decided is we looked at the most money we've ever given, and then we increased it. And so the first $220,000 that comes into the Greater Impact campaign will go straight to our World Missions Offering. We have to do that. And we're clapping because we're going to make sure we take care of our missionaries, period. We're going to take care of them. And we can't let anything happen to cause that offering to suffer. Especially, you don't know this, but especially in light of what's going on with the International Mission Board, which sends out the missionaries that we support. You may not know this, but last year there was a $21 million shortfall. $21 million for the year. So you think, well, how did we support missionaries? They sold property that we owned around the world, that the mission board owned, and dipped into reserves. In the last 5 years, the shortfall has been $210 million. And so in light of that, we've got to make sure we take care of our missionaries. Part of what the International Mission Board is doing is they're reducing the number of missionaries right now on the field from 4,800 to 4,200. And so in light of that, we're going to take care of that offering, and we're going to protect it. You might be interested to know this. I just found out myself from David Platt that last year, Willowbrook was 130th in giving to missions. And it just, I don't know if that sounds good to you or not, but there's over 50,000 Baptist churches in America, and we were 130th. So you guys have always done so well. And I'm thrilled about the whole project. But I think I'm as excited about the missions part as I am everything else.